Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my friends on the Earth ship today. Welcome to my little portal of time that I created where we get to talk about, spiritual alchemy, where we build a new understanding for ourselves about what alchemy is and about how to become the alchemist of your life. I'm Cindy Carter. I'm an intuitive, an artist, an energy healer, and a spirit consultant. This series of alchemy podcasts that I've put together each Sunday is a progressive building of information, and it allows you to see your role as the Master Alchemist, of the director of the life that you get to witness of yourself. You see, you are in control as a sovereign being on this earth. So the last podcast, we talked about conscious diversity, which is kind of like the ability to allow and acknowledge the diverse sum of wisdom that you are. And when you allow all the diversity of yourself, you can certainly allow the diversity of others. So knowing that you are diverse, that you're able at that moment in your diversity to consciously make an alteration of the movement that's spiraling downward, say. To consciously pull yourself away from a negative thought by remembering your diversity. Perhaps remembering that you are divine. That this divinity inside of you is the expression in all the dimensions. This revelation allows you kind of an idea of universal alignment when you realize the diversity of yourself. So in this conscious diversity, there is a way of living in a conscious environment, of being comfortable on this earth in all your diverse expressions, even the ugliest ones that you or saddest ones that you hold. We all hold trauma and sadness and anger. We just don't know when it's going to come out right now. We are in the grand purge of emotions and traumatic feelings, DNA markers, epigenetic traumas. So we need to do this stuff consciously, like an alchemist would, with your ingredients. Because, you are the one in charge. So we are talking today about universal declarations. This is a high understanding of your intention and your right to retrieve your soul fragments on an earth. There are many things you can declare to the universe, and today I'm kind of just talking about the retrieval of your soul fragments, because last week we talked of the diversity. So now we need to speak of what is the diversity? It's the soul fragments. And all these soul fragments, they're here to ground, protective elements of your divine union on the earth. They're you as part of the central sun. They're you at the center of this intention. See, you're in charge. So retrieving your soul fragments is a process of building life force when one's soul has been traumatized and when it splits itself off. Decompartmentalization, disassociation. We hear about it in all kinds of ways. It's also known as soul loss and also known as shamanic soul retrieval healing. I met a Zuni elder that did not care for the word shamanic, and he told me really quick he dislikes people using it, because I used it in front of him. And I was describing someone else's work, and he looked me right in the eye, and Clifford Mahudi said, "There are very few left on the earth. We should only allow that word for them." And I said, he said, everyone holds abilities. Let's not give it a name, shamanic. He really didn't need it to be anything special. He just wanted it to not be used continually when it is something very sacred. So here we are. Okay, Clifford, I'm going to do that for you. When a soul has a loss or a trauma, it manifests itself into our current body as maybe an autoimmune disease or psychological issues or emotional outbursts, like maybe even a weakness in the body and the mind. So when we retrieve or bring into us our soul fragments, the idea or the intention of the vibration of our wholeness, of our being a whole divine aligned being, it's a whole divine unit, even with a trauma, even with an angry expression or the weakness that you may feel. But this is wholeness, and wholeness creates harmony, divine harmony in a body and a mind. As you become awareness of the wholeness of yourself. See, you have to look at all the portions of yourself and forgive all of them. You aren't here to judge and witness or discard. You know, if you had been some type of very angry, ugly person in a past life, let's come to some reckoning about that. Let's come to some forgiveness for ourselves, for what we see, and accept ourselves for what we are now. This wholeness, the awareness of all the lives, not just the ugly one. You were the beautiful one too. You were the compassionate one. So this wholeness is what brings you into this soul retrieval. When you love all the versions of yourself, yes, right now, in your pajamas, sipping tea. Oops, you caught me. That's me. No, really, this is where you get to decide that you're in charge. You get to choose to retrieve the most powerful, the most compassionate, the most stable soul fragments of yourself to stabilize your weak mind or your weak immune system. So if you're suffering with a weakened immune system and you're focusing on the lack of power, the weakness and the lack of vitality and lack of life force that you have, well, you're going to be really challenged to move beyond this downward vibrational spiral you've created. You see, you can assist yourself in and out of weakness by accepting the wholeness of yourself, to move your focus and your awareness to the upliftment of the body and mind. So with soul retrieval, you allow the consciousness of all the many lives that you've led. Now, I said consciousness of the many lives, not the stories of the many lives. I'm pretty adamant about telling people I don't really want to hear the stories of your past life. I could tell you many stories of my past lives, but they're not relevant. All that's relevant is the consciousness that came through with it. What is the divine portion of that life? Was it in kindness? What is it in care? You know, what is that soul living? And what fragment are you bringing to yourself? This part is really, really important. I don't really want to hear any more wagon train stories or any more warrior stories. See, you're warring for yourself right now. You're not on the wagon train. You're right here in a human body. So to gain all your power that was compartmentalized away from yourself as energy and as your soul fragments, they were sent away through control or trauma or reincarnation. That recycling bin, you know, like a house of mirrors where we don't need to go back to because it's too scary and really it's just a circus where it's just a waste of money, you know. So let's bring in your diversity. Bring in your power, bring in your wisdom and your kindness, your stable voice, your stable heart, and your peaceful mind. Now, wait a minute. I know I can hear some of you right now saying, I don't have a peaceful mind right now. Well, if you retrieve your soul fragments and you announce to the universal structure your intentions as a birthright and as a universal protection, it might be a great idea. Even when you aren't in a peaceful mind, declaring to the universal fields that you have the right to a peaceful mind. It is your birthright. So to take you into the charge of ideas even further, here we go. You're in charge of all the diversity of yourself, not only the physical expression of you in this body, but the expressions of you in the galactics and you in the cosmos. Thousands of quantum expressions of you, the diversity. Now we have to allow ourselves to align and retrieve the portions of ourselves that align us with our truth. I've talked a lot about that lately, a lot of my podcasts, because this is what's coming up for everyone, is aligning with your truth, understanding your truth, allowing others to speak their truth, and then learning how to speak yours in a compassionate way. And you can find those, former podcasts in one of my playlists for on my YouTube, where you are right now. So this internal and external truth frequency, it's a resonance that allows you to be in harmony with the divinity in all your expressions. It makes it really quite easier to access your kinder ways, your kinder thoughts, the areas where you don't doubt. You don't doubt your ideas. You don't doubt your guidance. You don't doubt your mind or your actions. This is where you retrieve the versions of you that have already done this. This is not a foreign concept. I've been talking about this for 10 years, but there are other people that, have quite extensive understandings also. My friend Og Tellez today wrote something on Facebook that sparked my idea to talk about this subject today. He said, there is a return to rightful owner clause. If you acknowledge it, all genetic material and intellectual property cannot be taken, can't be cloned, can't be held, can't be altered or replicated for nefarious, malicious, or deceptive purposes. You see, he understands that there is this return to rightful owner clause. Well, so did all the indigenous elders. So did many tribes on this earth. Ancient Zuni, ancient Lakota, ancient First Nations, they understood soul retrieval. They understood that the versions of them were not what they displayed in their body. They were much more. And they had the right to be the owner of that. Return to rightful owner. This is where we are, moving into the Aquarian age. Your birthright on an earth is your soul essence. You are the rightful owner of this soul essence, all the versions of them. So there's this process, of soul retrieval. And I've been talking about it, bringing transmissions about it, poetry. It's about bringing in the beings that you've been before. This is what reverse refraction is about. I've talked about reverse refraction. It's where all the beings of you, the light, the rays, the sums of frequencies that come into the body now need to be expressed with one light as one cumulative sum of your many lifetimes, of your many consciousnesses, and your influences, your thoughts, your ideas, your frequencies, all into one body, one main idea, with a nice, stable voice of divine light. This voice that would be like your future self, all wisdom-filled and looking down at you, like looking at the timeline and saying, okay, over here we see this dip of energy, but just look beyond it. Once the energy's reworked and realigned and they bring in their soul retrieval, look, fully in their power and fully in their alignment with the universal truth, look at how that brightens up their existence and how the timeline becomes quantum, not linear. The full expression of the body and mind comes into awareness, into ascension. It's proliferation of a cellular body, not mitosis. So, not everybody has to understand what I'm talking about. I'll throw things in every once in a while because there are many, many aware people that are working on multidimensional levels every day. And they know what I'm talking about. So right now is a really potent time in our humanity's existence. Are you ready to step up? I mean, it's time for all beings to make their declarations. See, this is about potency of the light. Potency equals focus. So bring your declarations of light to the universal fields. So announcing to all parts, whole or fragmented, this is what's been missing throughout many lifetimes that we've lived. This is one of those missing links. When we make our declarations that we are light, that we are holy beings, that we are the divine incarnate, we need to remember that the universal fields have been waiting on our voices. They're waiting on the embodiment and the knowing of our light. This brings together all the souls that we've gathered into one resonance. No longer shall we make our declarations just in our small existence, no longer just announcing a faint voice to the immediate energy field around us. We're accessing cosmic fields, high wisdom, divine light, multidimensional expressions. We've got to meet these fields where they are. We must rise up into our own honor and define for ourselves what is our declaration to the world. So here we are at soul retrieval. It's just one aspect of a declaration. But if you allow this ripple of declared voice to travel beyond your present dimensional existence, beyond the earth plane, to all the bodies wherever they may live, that's bringing an alignment that's quite, potent. The cosmic universal fields of light will receive this declaration. It's pure reverence. This is the creation of the fields of light around you, back to the fields of light, of purity, of divinity. You might be amazed at what flows to and from you after you've made a universal declaration. If you declare to the universe that your right is to be part of all your soul, not just part, and that you have to make peace with all these parts, I can release many downward spiraling versions of myself and ideas and traumas out of my body. But all I'm doing is forgiving them, giving them a new job in my mind. But there is a way, if I were to say, let's do a declaration right now. Let's just wing it and do a declaration. So let's just say, I make this declaration of my true intention to the universe and all its realms. No longer shall any entity, energy, or transmission come to me in malevolence. I require benevolence, and from this day forward, I include only benevolence to come to me or from me. You see, I am a divine structure, each cell housing the God particle. Remember this, as I am the walk of my days. I am divine. I am peace. I announce to my universal fields the declaration of my universal light. I allow the cosmic fields to hear my voice and the voices of all my beings. Universal fields surround me now in pure grace. I declare my service to myself before all others. Ascension is my right. I ask to be heard on all levels by all councils of my own making. I am the light. I am the light of divine incarnate. And as I make my universal declaration, may all others on earth also receive the bountiful presence of this abundant declaration. And let's become that. A universal declaration is your right. I am in charge of this life, and this life shall precede me in wholeness, and as I retrieve all the versions of my soul, I declare to the fields of light my intention this day. That's just an example of what you can do. I mean, if you'd like to speed up this process for yourself by concentrating and focusing on yourself for 11 days, there is something on my website for you. This idea of allowing grace to bring a sense of your many soul versions, it does assist in knowing your wisdom. It does assist in knowing your peace, to have this little template of grace that I've created. It gathers you into an idea of ascension. It's called the Template of Grace audio series, and it's an 11-day meditation series. It's like short 15-minute sessions with some Tibetan bowls in the back. Really nice meditative music. It's a high understanding of how the cells take on new information, and it activates it into your life. I'm having a whole lot of great feedback from people about this template. It's $33 US on my website. And I also have a free ebook where I touch on all the aspects of soul retrieval through transmissions and poetry that are very layered in frequency and understanding. It's called Solene, the Ancient One, and it's also on my website. It's an important time right now in the history of humankind. So please allow yourself the compassionate awareness to allow the highest versions of yourself to manifest right here, right now, and you be the one in charge. Many blessings.